Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit, a show where we discuss movies from our childhood, our nostalgia from watching them as kids, how they got made, and our experiences rewatching them as adults. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me as always, Matthew Pelton.
Hello!
Hey, how's it going?
I want to point out that right now I don't have my glasses on, and it's dark in this room.
Okay.
So, one, we have a special guest with us who we'll get to in a minute. You wait your turn, please. But two, because I don't have my glasses, Nick has this very nice jacket on, and it looks like you're wearing a blazer.
Yeah.
And it looks like you dressed up for our guest.
I did.
Which you've never done, including your girlfriend.
Yeah, no.
Just wanted to point that out.
Our guest is extremely special today.
I mean, I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I agree. Today, we have a very special guest.
We do.
His name is Yankel. Yankel Gelman is here. That's who grants your name, right?
Yeah. Last time I checked. Wait, let me check my
Yankel G.
Yankel G. No, Yankel Gelman's here. He is a dear friend of ours, a dear friend of the show. We're so happy to have him on.
Very excited.
And we were talking today about a movie that technically I picked in the beginning of like the show's inception.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like from the very, very
this.
beginning. But then I presented the list to you, and then you picked it, and we're talking about it today. We're talking about the 2009 movie Shorts, or the full name of the movie, which I found out.
Yeah.
It's Shorts: The Adventures of the Wishing Rock. So,
And this show is known for never getting anything wrong. So I'm glad you pointed that out,
and
Nick.
we don't do all of our research on Wikipedia.
No.
So, Yankel, being our very special guest, do you want to explain any sort of childhood stories you have about this movie or why you chose it for the show?
Yeah, I'd love to. So to this point, I am not 100% sure I had ever seen this movie before.
Okay.
I'll be completely honest. I thought I had, but really the reason why I chose it, there's just something about it. I'm from Mexico, so then there was something about it that just felt Mexican. And I didn't really 100% know why.
Sure.
I was between this and Ice Age, also a famously not really Mexican movie that just feels Mexican.
Hang on. We could have been watching Ice.
interesting.
We could have been watching Ice Age, and you picked this instead.
Yes.
Okay, so this is your first and last time.
I'm so curious what about it feels Mexican.
I have no clue.
Right?
So then I was like trying to find what it was.
Sure.
I'm assuming it's just like Robert Rodriguez. Something about him naturally, like Spy Kids, is also feels very Mexican.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay,
has nothing
that to me makes sense.
necessarily,
Yeah.
like, you know, the character's Latino, but like,
Yeah.
besides that, nothing really.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing I had seen of it is the poster, for sure. Like,
Okay.
that's the only thing I know for a fact.
I remember vividly.
It's
I'll
stuck
get
in my
into it.
mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Just someone grabbing a stone, that and the title.
yeah.
And I'll be honest, I watched this twice. For this
you
program,
really?
I watched this twice. I'll
came
explain a little bit
committed.
later. But rewatching it twice, I have no clue still if I had ever seen this before or not, or if it was just the poster and my imagination that created this idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an incredible story. I for me, it's kind of similar. I remember the poster very vividly, but I also remember like just owning the DVD. And
Really?
kind of the story, I might have told you personally, but for the listeners, the story of how this movie came on to our list in general is because Pelton and I were doing some possibly pre-production on something. We were in the common room and we were just talking about stuff. And I was like, I have an idea for Greenlit, but I cannot think of what it is. And you were like, okay. So basically what I did was I tried Googling it. I was like, Rainbow Rock movie. Could not find it.
Really?
So I literally went to ChatGPT and I just kept searching like Rainbow Rock movie Wishing
with
Stone,
rock,
movie with rock, and like nothing came up. And then eventually it was like I got like something from ChatGPT where I was like, I could use this in Google, put it in Google, and then I was like Rainbow Wishing Rock, and then it came up as Shorts, and I was like, oh my God, I found it. This is incredible.
See, my memory of that story is even worse.
Okay.
Because my memory is we were sitting in the common room, probably
going
doing
insane.
something. You were.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he turns to me like he just had like a stroke. And he's like, wait, what's that movie?
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
it.
that's
That
true.
one,
Yeah.
that one with the...
I'm like, oh, I remember what you're
I
talking
was
about.
freaking out.
And then you're at that movie with The Rock.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Dwayne?
what? Yeah, I'm like, Jumanji? What do you mean? And you're like, no, like a rock. And then for, I
Yeah.
swear, it was like 20 minutes. He was like, the movie with, you know what
The
I'm
Rock
talking
one,
about,
come
Pelton.
on.
The movie with The Rock.
Well,
And then finally you're like, wait, Rainbow?
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't help.
yeah, true. I remember the rainbow part came
Yeah,
a
you
little
kept
later.
like rediscovering elements of it for like 2 hours straight.
Booger monster.
Yeah, I was like, Nick, I don't know what this movie is.
Yeah. And then eventually I found it, and I guess it was one of those movies where like I thought everyone had seen it. It was like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I was like, this is gonna come up on the
classic,
show, and
yeah.
everyone's gonna have seen it. Turns out Yankel was the only person I've ever met that had even heard of this. So the fact that you mentioned, I was like, no, we're not doing Ice Age, we're doing shorts. We have to. He's the only person that will do it willingly.
I've never heard of this.
Never heard of it.
Not
no
once
childhood
in my
stories
life
whatsoever.
In fact, when I remember you had this weird stroke about this movie,
right.
And then you were like, "Oh, it's Shorts by Robert Rodriguez." I was like, "I've never heard of that once."
I was so happy it was Robert Rodriguez, by the way. We'll get into it, but I'm pumped.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't imagining it was going to be Robert Rodriguez. It just came out of nowhere.
Which is even better. That of course it's Robert Rodriguez.
Honestly.
Right.
And then I remember we put it on the list, and I the day after I forgot already what it was. Right. And then you said Yankel picks Shorts. I'm like, what is that? And you're like, it's that rock movie. I'm like, come on.
The Rainbow Rock movie with Robert Rodriguez.
I was trying to avoid this one forever. I did not want this to happen.
This is like a field day for me. But yeah, so going right into production, this is directed by our guy, Robert Rodriguez. Now, for those of you who are longtime listeners of the show, this is our guy. This is we have covered our first ever Evie-winning episode.
We love him, yeah.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl. And Spy Kids, we've covered both of them.
Yeah.
And we didn't really love either of the movies, but we love the director.
Love the
and
guy.
I think that will track for this one.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. He was obviously the director of the film, but he was also the writer, the cinematographer, the producer, the editor, and did some of the score for the movie.
Doesn't he do this every time?
He does it every single time.
He only trusts his own hands.
Yeah,
the craftsman's hands, you know.
This movie had a budget of $20 million.
Okay.
And it grossed $29 million. So not a lot.
Didn't do super well.
I'm excited to cover this in the finale because this is one where it's going to be like ranked literally 100 of the year. So that'll be fun.
Very interesting. It came out the same week, I think, as Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Basterds, yeah.
Which, you know, is big friends with Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
My question for you guys is, do you think he wanted to make this because he wanted to make his own Pulp Fiction?
Probably. A weird out of order.
Yeah. He was like, you made this. I have to make my
because also
version.
right before this and Inglourious Basterds, I'm pretty sure they did a project together.
Yeah, Grindhouse.
Yes, Grindhouse. Yeah. They did that together.
Oh, I didn't
and then
know that.
they separately, from there, one went on to make Inglourious Basterds, the other went on to make Shorts.
I wonder if you watch them together, you know, what's the reaction you get?
To be honest, I thought you were about to ask which movie do we prefer.
Jesus.
I was going to have to ask you to leave the studio.
Yeah. It's a hard one.
Just a couple other things before we dive into the Rodriguez lore, because this is what I've prepared for the show.
Good to have him back.
A Wii and DS game based on the movie was announced for this movie.
There's no way that
and
came
then
out.
No, and then it was later canceled. It was later canceled, but it's weird that they even decided to go forward with that, or like try and go forward with that.
Well, what year this came out? 2009?
Yeah.
2009.
Big
I'm
Wii
assuming
year,
this was
you know, still.
big weird. I'm assuming this is post Spy Kids and Shark Boy, right?
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And we'll get
Robert
into that,
Rodriguez
'cause
is a big name.
They thought this was going to be
video.
blow up, get a bunch of
Exactly.
sequels.
Right.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. That's okay.
He hasn't returned to. I mean, he even returned to Lava Girl with what's it called? The We Are Heroes.
Yeah, they had this sequel that came out
yeah.
like a couple of years
When
ago.
is Shorts
And
2
then
coming
also
out?
Spy Kids like 5 just came out. Yankel told me about that, and I didn't watch it. Yeah,
It
like
did just come
a couple
out.
weeks ago.
Did he have any part in it? Do we
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
This is
He
Robert
directed it.
Rodriguez.
He directed it. He's still going.
This is his
That's
newest movie is like Spy
crazy.
Kids 5 or 6 or whatever it is, and it's no one of the original. I'm pretty sure.
No. It's Zachary Levi.
Are you seriously?
Dude, what happened? That is a future Greenlit
Are you
episode.
being
That's
serious?
insane.
That is insane.
They got Shazam. They got
Wow.
Chuck.
That is wild.
They got Chuck.
Dang. All right. Anyways, 3 of Robert Rodriguez's kids were in this movie, so it's a step up from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Now, what I didn't know is that all 5 of his kids their names start with the letter R.
Yes.
Are you
So it's
serious?
Robert
what I meant.
Rodriguez, and he has Racer, Rocket, Rebel, Rogue, and then I don't know how to pronounce the last one.
Rhiannon, I believe.
Rhiannon. Okay.
Wait. Why do you pick weird R names? Not like Rick
No,
or
I know.
Rachel?
No.
Like,
This is
Racer?
the exact naming convention I'd assume from someone who made Shorts, Spy Kids. You know, like he's just a goofy guy. You know, that's just his thing.
And also, Racer, that's our boy who made Shark
That's
Boy
the guy
and
who
Lava
made
Girl,
Shark Boy
right?
and Lava Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We know Racer
So-
Rodriguez on this show.
Right. 3 of his kids were in the movie. It was 2 of the bullies that were with
Well,
the
Black, whatever.
Yeah.
Cole
They're Cole's like
Oh,
little
yeah,
gang.
two of like his little entourage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Rebel was Lug, who is Loogie's brother. One of Loogie's brothers is Robert
Really?
Rodriguez's kid. If that makes sense, if you remember that at all.
I watched it this morning.
Coming into the show, I was like, Yankel's gonna probably have more information about this than Pelton, because Pelton will probably tune this completely out.
1,000%. Yeah.
But the reason why I watched it twice is I watched this maybe 2 days ago.
Okay.
And then today I was trying to remember and I didn't remember a single thing. So I was like, I gotta at least like check it again.
So he was gonna play the Wii game.
I looked for it everywhere, couldn't find it.
Also, weirdly enough, one more person in the cast and one of the writers of the movie had the Rodriguez last name, but I couldn't find any correlation to Robert.
Really?
So it was like one of the actors and one of the writers had. It was like their name and then Rodriguez was their last name, but no correlation to Robert.
Was the first name start with an R?
No.
Okay, well,
neither
then
of them.
Not
That's
related.
how you
Not
know.
related. Yeah,
exactly.
That's why I was like, they're not.
Key takeaway.
Yeah. This film was shot in Austin, Texas, just like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, where Rodriguez's production company operated out of and where he lived.
There you go.
Really?
Actually, kind of most of this film was actually shot on his ranch.
Are you serious?
I didn't know he had a ranch. And B,
Not surprising.
all of like, you know how in the beginning of the movie, or it's out of order. So when they like when he like wishes for the castle and the castle comes and they build the moat and they go down into it, that's his ranch.
He just has a bunch of
Like
acres
that-
of just nothing. Just grass.
Yes.
They call it the Rodriguez Castle.
Literally. It was shot in the spring and summer of 2008, but post-production took so long that they had to release the film a year later. Like it was just
they had to get it right.
It was stuck. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of craft that went into this.
Perfection takes
Of
time.
course,
Yeah.
of course. Now, like you said, it was released on the same day as Inglourious Bastards, and this movie was Rebel Rodriguez's idea. Now,
Come on.
the only way I found out about this is because they have a little short documentary called, I think it's like Shorts. It's literally just about the movie Shorts. And it's another home movie. If anyone listening remembers the Shark Boy and Lava Girl episode, Robert Rodriguez makes these little home movies talking about like the production of whatever movie he's talking about. In this case, Shorts. And so he was like, basically the whole concept, it was like a little 10-minute thing. And essentially it was like coming off of the success of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I wanted all of my kids to have a chance to make a movie.
No.
So every other movie is by another kid?
I don't know how like much this tracks, but in the
Including
actual
Spy
film,
Kids 5.
So at least there's possibly 2 more movies that could be created in separate.
Because it's
Shark Boy,
Shark Boy and Lava
and
Girl,
this
and then
one.
this one. I don't know about the rest of them, but he has 3 other kids, so it's 5.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
So possibly 3 other movies.
Oh God.
How does this keep happening?
I
He
don't
just
know.
loves his kids, okay?
Yeah. But I was gonna say in the short, you can see, I think Racer, the kid who literally came up with the idea for Shark Boy and Lava Girl, is wearing a Shark Boy and Lava Girl poster t-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like in the short, he's wearing, because this is coming off of
He's
that.
repping his own merch.
And coming off of the success of Spy Kids, and this is like, he's gaining traction at this point.
The whispers around the industry.
Right.
Racer.
And with his kids on his ranch, they actually made a concept trailer to pitch the actual film. And a lot of his kids were the actors in the movie, and actually they obviously ended up some of them being in the movie. But a lot of the shots were almost identical. Like he showed it in the short. It's kind of similar to Shark Boy and Lava Girl, where it shows like the dialogue of like his kids speaking the dialogue, and then it's in the movie. With this, they show the concept where it's like a shot of them running over to like the rainbow, and like it's the end of the rainbow or the beginning of the rainbow with the rock, and it's like the same exact shot.
That's kind of cool,
just
actually.
done
You know
with
what?
better CGI.
I'll give him credit.
Yeah. And he basically says in the short that he used like a bunch of cheap CGI software because in his opinion it was easier to use and looked just as good as higher budget. I don't agree with that, but if it was easier to use, then God bless.
I will say, I think last episode was G-Force, and that was also the idea of a kid.
Yeah.
And this was
Yeah, I
also
was gonna
happened in
say
Shark Boy.
back-to-back.
Back to back.
We
And
have
I
3
think
now.
Stop letting kids make it.
Yeah,
I
come on.
guess.
I think when it happened on G-Force, my jaw was on the floor. And then today, I just literally 5 minutes ago, when we were like backstage, and it was me, Yankel, and Nick, I said, if I found out this movie was by a kid, I would storm out of the studio.
And I said, I can't say a single word because here we are on air, and I'm telling you, and I know no one listening can see it, but Pelton just had his hands in his face for the past 3 minutes.
Pelton, he left. Oh, it's just
he's
it's
gone.
Just
It's just
Nick and
Yankel
me
and I.
again? Oh, damn!
I can't
Wow,
do this,
that was a real threat.
See you later, buddy.
You know what I found out over the weekend? This is a thing. This happens all the time. Princess Bride, idea of a kid.
Really?
Do you guys remember monster trucks from like
Yeah, yeah.
pre-pandemic?
Oh, of course.
Idea of a kid.
Yeah.
This is just a thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Kids make
movies.
all of the movies from our childhood were made by kids
Yeah.
our age, and we just were dumb.
So how is it? What does it say about us that we're in our 20s and we haven't gotten there
anything.
yet?
Yeah. We failed compared to Racer. or
Yeah,
Judas.
yeah.
Dude, Racer's way ahead of us.
Alone Again coming soon.
Yeah, that's
Little plug. But yeah, that's all I have for production. But it was quite interesting. I just wanted to get into the Rodriguez lore, his kids, the concept of shooting
Unacceptable.
basically in his backyard from a script that his kid basically came up with the idea for on a $20 million budget. Rodriguez just did everything
This is starting to give
incredible.
me like a bit of a conspiracy theory going.
Okay.
Because if he made these with his kids, right? He's made at least Grindhouse with Tarantino.
Right.
He, I think, co-directed Sin City with Frank Miller.
Uh-huh.
Is he just scared to do things by himself? You know, like he needs at least someone else.
Now he's on The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
exactly. Presently.
Well,
He's
John
not
Favreau, I
writing
guess, is there.
episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
John Favreau, he's not writing them.
Right.
The great collaborator.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might just be scared to do stuff on his own.
And if he's on his own, he's like, I have 5 kids, I can make 5 movies out of that.
Alita Battle Angel is James Cameron also.
Did he do that?
Well, at least I think together they made it.
He has
Yeah.
like a producer credit or something.
yeah,
I actually do remember
like
this.
that.
We talked about this in Shark Boy and Lava, or maybe Spy Kids. Okay. That makes sense. Wild stuff. That's it
Out of
for
control.
production.
Out
Do you
of
guys want to
control.
get into this insane plot?
We can
Yes.
try.
We can absolutely try.
Right before, I have a little bit of a surprise. It is something that
Oh my god.
may not be allowed in this space, but I did get a little gift for you.
Oh my
as a
What
thank
is
you.
this?
Nick had told me before of his
When?
big fascination of milk duds.
Okay, wait. When did I say this? Because I have no recollection
On
of this
regular
whatsoever.
basis,
But it's
I
so
work,
true.
I work at a desk.
Yes.
No more explanation needed.
Right. The
Nick
tap
will
desk,
pass by every so often, and we'll have
just
long
sit and have
conversations.
conversations.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever just walked by and be like, oh hey.
yeah. We stay
I
for like
always
30
sit there
minutes.
and just
yeah.
talk, and we just talk about everything.
It's quite wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it came up then?
Yes.
But
at
how?
some point. I think I actually have no clue. I just know that you worked at a theater and that you. I think maybe I just asked you at some point.
Oh my god, that is wild.
Yeah.
Someone needs to explain what's going on.
Okay. We were having a conversation at the tap desk, and we were just talking about work in general, and I mentioned working at a movie theater. I think we got into like obsessions with candy.
Yeah, just different.
And
candy.
I said I worked at a movie theater, and I got to try all the different types of candies just because like I got them for cheaper. And I was like, but the one that weirdly like reigns true for me is Milk Duds. For whatever reason, everyone hates them.
Don't understand.
They're
Yeah,
delicious.
I love.
Oh
Okay,
my
thank
God.
God.
They're good.
They're terrible.
They're good.
They're
Thank God,
terrible.
Yeah.
because I'm usually the only one in this argument. I love them to death, and I would be the only one in the movie theater. Not even the patrons. Like I would be the only one buying them from our movie theater. Like we would always have stock of it, and I would just constantly. It was just mine. But well, thank you, Yankel. This is the wildest surprise
hang on a minute.
in Greenlit
Hold the
history.
phone. Where are my milk duds?
Well, now that you,
What
I
is
know that
this?
you
We can
also like
split 'em.
milk
We can
duds.
split 'em. We can
You guys
split
can
'em.
share.
It's a co-hosted show.
It's between both of you now.
Yeah.
Better.
Let's hide it.
Yeah,
let's hide it in my backpack.
Yes. Oh my God, that was incredible.
That was a magical moment.
I got it. For those listening, I'm gonna be on Yankel's show on Friday at 8 a.m. So tune into that. But I gotta show up.
I'm expecting a gift
now.
now.
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm off the hook here.
Dang, I gotta make a financial investment now. Okay, going into the plot.
Yes.
So basically, for those listening, this movie is a narrative piece. However,
In a way.
similar to Pulp Fiction, it is split up into different segments that are completely out of order. And luckily, each of the little episodes are labeled episode numbers, so
But
you
even-
know actually what happens.
Even
in
the
order.
episodes are out of order.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the episodes are out
Yeah.
of order, but they have the episode numbers. So if you put them in order, it's a
You know
sequential
where it's
story.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's done edit of this where they put it in actual order.
Well, I
Oh,
was
I'm
thinking about
sure.
it for watching for the second time. If I should do it, too much work, I didn't care about it.
The
Yeah,
third
yeah,
time
yeah.
you watch it, then you can- yeah.
Man, I'll do it.
But yeah, I wasn't quite sure when I started the movie if it was just the pirated version I watched. I don't know if I should be saying that, but it just went right from the Warner Brothers logo immediately to the title card of like the weird like episode 0.
No, it's weird.
and
It's
it like
weird.
didn't really
Yeah.
have any opening title, like nothing. It was just like
Oh,
Warner
see,
Brothers
mine was
and then
weirder.
boom.
Okay, well,
it was, like,
one,
right to episode 0.
We got to point out, and actually, me and Yankel
Yeah.
talked about this before, is that this movie is nowhere to be
Nowhere.
found.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely
Find
no.
this movie.
You can't. That's why I had such trouble searching for it.
Yeah, it's
because
just
you can't-
buried.
You
Yeah.
cannot find this movie, and I don't know why.
If you just look up shorts, also it won't
Yeah.
appear
It
because
will
it's
not
just a
come up.
normal word.
Right.
So then,
Yes.
like, yeah.
It's a clothing item. It's a like
That's
you're, it's,
too many
you're
things.
screwed.
Unless for some reason you know the full title of
Yeah, yeah,
Shorts,
yeah.
The Adventures
Or
of the
that-
Wishing
that
Rock, which
Robert Rodriguez
who knows
did.
that?
Yeah, you do Shorts
Yeah.
2009.
Right.
That's how
Again,
I found it.
If you know the year or the full title, you'll
Yeah.
find it. But if you don't, if you were like me, panicking, because I was like, I want to find this
rock,
Rainbow
rock.
Rock movie, but I didn't know where to search for it, you can't find it.
impossible.
You can't buy it. It's like, it's insane.
And not that we pirate or know how to do that, but
No, not
It,
at
we-
all.
it landed from the sky.
Right.
Actually,
yeah,
in
Robert
my
actually
hands.
gave me a DVD copy.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you don't know how to do that, you really cannot watch this movie.
No, not
like,
at all.
whatsoever.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yankel, weren't you even telling me you tried doing a VPN?
Yeah, I had to. I looked. Yeah, I have a VPN just to check around if like it's in a different country streaming service.
Yeah.
Looked up at every country. Nothing.
It's nowhere.
That is nothing.
They buried this movie.
Yeah.
But why? Like, that's my question. It's like,
Right?
it just doesn't make
So I was
sense.
saying my pirated version was also weird because I had the Warner Brothers logo, then a different logo, and then another Warner Brothers logo.
Oh, actually?
I had two of them.
See, mine was just Warner Brothers logo, and then
Troublemaker?
just No, not even.
Not even.
That was
I had
later in the movie.
Troublemaker.
I had Troublemaker.
Yeah, I
No,
had
see,
Troublemaker too.
That's wild because mine was Warner Brothers logo
You were missing.
smash cut to episode 0 title card with the
Oh,
two
really?
faces. And then after episode 0, it went to another Warner Brothers logo, the Troublemaker logo, which is Robert Rodriguez's studio, and then just like the title of the movie.
I think
And it was, I was
that's
like,
interesting.
why did it just smash cut from one thing just to episode 0, and then they go through? It's like a 1 minute sequence,
Has
and then it's
no relevance.
not
Also,
at all.
No,
bizarre.
no real payoff
Not
to that first
no.
chapter.
Yeah,
The-
no.
It's
No,
just
no,
like
no.
a background joke.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
titled it's titled episode 0, The Blinkers, and it's basically two siblings having a staring contest, and they say like the loser has to do you know what, but they
choke on.
never like explain that
Not once.
whatsoever. Because like spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, they eventually one of them blinks, and he's like, "Oh, I won!" Like 35 hours was like their final
Also,
time.
not that. Like, I mean, like it is unnaturally unhuman, but like
Yeah.
I thought it'd be longer. You know,
Sure.
like it kind of disappointed by just 30.
I mean,
that's a
well,
day and a half. You know.
Because also the course of the movie takes place over a week.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like they
Do
were
they just do that again and
yelling.
over and over? Yeah.
Is this like a personal record? Like, what's the
It
deal here?
doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
It doesn't. And like we never find out what the you know what is. And they make such a big deal out of why even include
I mean, it's
that
the
if you're
first
gonna-
scene.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's the opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I got confused. I was so confused by this because when it's called Shorts,
Yeah.
and then that hit, and then it just ends for no reason. So I was like, oh, is this going to be a series of like short ideas that Robert Rodriguez had and
Yeah.
stitch them together?
Right.
And then it's never that
bad
again.
title.
Right.
I gotta say, bad title.
Horrible title.
Segments would have been better.
Right,
Or
right, right, right.
or you know,
Pulp
like
Fiction too would have
they're
been
not
great.
like little
Yeah, which is
stories.
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
but
that's
shorts.
the thing. It's not even like
It's confusing.
They're not
title.
like complete stories within themselves. You know, it's just different characters.
Because it's almost it's like if Pulp Fiction was called Shorts. They're not shorts.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
one big narrative.
They're,
It's just
they're vignettes, but like in the same like,
Overall,
universe. Yeah,
exactly,
in the same,
yeah.
like story.
like shorts imply they're all isolated.
Right.
You know what this feels like the most, and it took me to the second watch to really figure
Mm-hmm.
it out. It feels like a bad like kids video game. Like
Sure.
if anyone,
Wii?
for the Wii.
the
Honestly,
DS
I
and
think
the
it would
Wii,
make
yeah.
natural transition to Wii. Because this is a very specific game. I don't doubt you guys know. I only had the worst games. Everyone get
Yeah,
the like
I
normal
remember you
games.
telling me about this. Yeah.
I had it on the topic of like 2 episodes ago. The Curious George game.
Yes.
I had that on Wii.
Yeah.
Did you
No
really?
way! Oh my god.
But this
that's
has
awesome.
the exact same like feel and pacing as the Simpsons game for Wii, which I doubt. Have you played it?
I've played it at my friend's house one time.
Because it has that same, literally, even the feeling of like, it happened in the 3rd chapter or whatever, the booger one, when he like is just staring at it.
we'll
It
get
ends.
into.
It ends on like just kind of a freeze frame on just the booger or
Yeah.
or
Oh,
monster.
yeah, it does.
Yes,
It
yes.
feels like there's just gonna
So
be points
strange.
coming out.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
you just completed a bunch of things.
It's like Lego Star Wars, you get all the
yeah,
coins
the
and everything.
end,
Yeah.
It's weird. It just that's the pacing of like a level. Levels would have been better
Right.
even. You know.
Levels the movie because it would also be easier relatively to find.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
shorts.
100%.
Shorts. Yeah.
Levels the movie. But yeah, so again, depending on the version you watch, you get the logos and the intro
So
to like
crazy.
the movie, and then you get the first actual shorts. You open with this quaint little town. It's called Black Falls, where Black Box Inc. basically owns the town. It's this big corporation where all of the employees live in the town and they work for the company. And essentially, they create like black boxes, which are essentially iPhones, but they can do anything. They can morph into
Yeah,
whatever you
everything
want.
ever. Yeah.
And now, the problem with these little gadgets is that apparently their competitors are doing better than them, and they're like making them more efficient. Because I guess later in the movie, it's found out that like after 20 minutes of battery life, the whole thing shuts down because there's just too many applications.
Oh,
too
that
many
was
things
said?
that
There's a lot of
too
things said
many
in this movie.
things
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
the
No one
little
wants to
black
buy
box
it.
can do. Right.
Which honestly, yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like if something did that much stuff, I'd be scared.
Also, I
Fair,
was
honestly.
curious. 2009.
Yeah.
This iPhones weren't like
Gigantic.
hugely
yeah.
popular.
Well, what is it, 2007?
Is that
It's like the
true?
big like
I
Steve
guess.
Jobs. I feel like 2007.
Sure, I was gonna say because they
feels like.
really. I
say,
I
what,
felt
like-
like I was watching a movie that was made in
Yeah,
2023.
yeah, like that.
Like, it was really
The
scary.
parents, like that.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is just like, oh, we're not connected anymore.
Yeah,
'cause
we're
of
on our
phones.
phones all the time. But like
I
when
see
I
your
watched it as a
point.
kid, I was like, oh, this is just some weird retro, like this weird future thing that doesn't exist, that never will.
It's what, 2009? So I was like 8, you were 7, probably.
Yeah.
I think kids started to have like phones at that point.
But like Blackberries. They weren't like iPhone. Not to the point where it was like
it does
crazy.
everything. Yeah,
now,
that's true.
I got my first phone in 7th grade, which I think was 2015. So that it feels
I got mine
like a
13,
long time. Yeah,
14.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
so it's still a few years before, like at least my school, like my town.
Do the
really
kids have the black box? They do.
No.
I don't think so.
I think the
parents?
the kids of Mr. Black have them because obviously it's that's their family. But I don't know. It was just an interesting thing to me because we were watching it in the context of 2023 and it just felt way too relevant, and I hated it. It was scary.
Complete switch. This is a brilliant movie. It predicted everything.
Yeah. We love it. Anyways, Mr. Carbon Black, which is played by James Spader.
Yeah,
had
which
no
is
idea.
Insane.
Crazy. He also does a weirdly, really good job.
Yeah,
I like
good. Just
I will
hammy
say,
villain. You know?
I feel bad because common listener, my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
He despises James Spader.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like him as a person.
I still don't know why. No, like just his acting.
Oh,
Like, he pops up and
I don't
something,
love him
he'll
as a
shut it
person.
off.
Yeah.
I don't know why. This is
that
James
level of
Spader.
hatred.
Okay.
So like when I was already watching this movie, I was in. It's a Robert Rodriguez film that's already probably not going to be great, and it's a very confusing start. And then James Spader pops up. I'm like, this might be like the movie that will kill my father if he watches
He
this.
will die if he watches.
He will die if he watches this.
Well, seeing all the like A-list like actors, I want to make it funny, and I look up how many Oscars. No Oscars, just
No.
FYI.
Yeah,
but
sure.
7 Emmys amongst this
Right.
cast.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's also
is-
a lot of like people that I like. All the child actors I like
Yeah, also,
recognize them, and I was like,
Disney
oh,
and
they're all
yeah,
Disney,
yeah.
Disney, Nickelodeon, and that kind of thing. So I was
Weird.
like, well,
Oh, see, I don't think I recognize any of the child actors.
yeah,
They're all like off-brand ones, like none of the like big
none
ones.
of the main
yeah,
ones,
it's like
but it was
like the one with karate, the one with
Yes.
skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know, like it's,
yeah.
I only knew James Spader and like the mom.
Yeah. But yeah, so he runs a certain like a very cutthroat system where if you get fired, you have to move out of the town. And they have this cutthroat system because their competition is so high and they want to be the best, and it's just this wild like company culture.
Yeah.
And now our narrator is introduced, which is Toby Thompson, which is our technically main character. And he can't really remember what order the story took place in, which is like his excuse. Also, a wildly lazy way to cut the movie.
There's never explained why he doesn't know.
Yeah,
Like,
and also
is
he
it
comes
him
in
as
at
an
such
adult?
weird times. It's like once the quote unquote short ends, he's like, then that happened, and now this
True.
one. And
Actually,
you're
I'll be,
like,
I'll
what?
be so real with you. When you said narrator, I swear to God, I'm like, was there a narrator?
Was there-
Yeah, it was Toby. It was
Imagine if Pulp Fiction just had like Jules just suddenly be like, I don't remember what happened afterwards.
this guy got killed, and then now this
something-
happened.
Let's rewind to Bruce Willis for a second.
Yeah, they have to pause and the
Oh,
rewind.
God.
Yeah. But yeah, so he can't really remember what order the story took place in, which is why he's going to be telling the story in a series of shorts. And that's where our first
But
short comes in.
kind of.
But it's episode 2, which I hit like rewind 10 seconds like a bunch of times.
Make sure
So I was
you
like, did
screwed
I
up.
miss episode
I did the
1?
same thing. They
Because it
started
went from
episode
episode
two.
0 to episode 2, and I was like, what is going on? Now, episode 2 is titled Toe Thompson in Alienated, and there's an 8.
An 8, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool as hell. Yeah.
You think that was Razor? You know his idea?
Yeah. I don't even remember all their names, but it was one of Rodriguez's.
That was
Yeah,
Rocket
yeah.
for sure.
It was yeah. It was raunchy. Like what? 6 kid?
That was ridiculous. Ridiculous Rodriguez.
Ridiculous Rodriguez. Okay. So Cole and Helvetica Black are the 2 children of Mr. Black, James Spader. And they're the worst people on the planet. Like they are just pure evil little elementary school bullies.
Well, honestly, I think if they were actually in school, they'd be bullied.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
yeah.
100%. Like,
100%.
rich kids that are also emo, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like the kind of bowl cut, the hair's
like
down.
Peter Parker and like the third. Yeah. But as a
In the
kid-
third one, yeah. Also, wild crush on Helvetica when I was a kid. Big
Really?
time. Oh, for
What?
some scratch an itch that I never thought I had, and I never have had since. But it was just that one moment in time
just
where I
being
was
mean
like,
at you, you
I
know?
love her. Yeah.
Maddie looks nothing like Helvetica.
No, not at all.
Put that out there.
No, again, it was a phase. It was a phase.
I think kids honestly would root weirdly for the romance in the movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know,
That's what I'm saying. Is I was like, when he like outwardly is like, you like me. I was like, I've experienced this before. Because it
will
was
say,
true.
like-
In like elementary school, there was a girl that bullied me all the
Yeah.
time, every single day, and I found out like a couple years later that she had a crush on me the whole time, and I was like, I relate to this so much. It was wild.
I remember watching it and being like, yeah, she's into him.
Yeah,
Come on.
100%.
well,
Yeah.
viewing it through the psychology of the kid, is there an actual Helvetica? He wrote this.
Right.
you know?
Yeah. And yeah, Helvetica is like the leader of the pack. She's the one girl in the group, but she's like the bad boss. And and she's possibly bullying Toby, obviously, because she's in love with him. And in class, when they're in the class, Loogie, who is a character that, like, again, because it's episode 2, we don't really like get introduced to Loogie properly until
episode
later.
1, yeah.
Right. But Loogie is a pre-established character, and he's giving a presentation on a wishing rock, which is strange. We don't know anything about this yet. And the two, the siblings that are staring at each other from episode 0 are deep into their staring contest in the back of the room. So it was a cool little like crossover moment. But yeah, so then after school, Loogie tries to comfort Toby about being bullied, because Toby gets bullied by Helvetica and all their people.
Because she's in love with him.
Yeah, because she's in love with him.
Yeah.
And offers Toby a candy bar. And is then
Or
dragged
milk
away.
duds.
Or milk duds. Yeah. That'd be wild if it was in there. I'd be like, let me in. And is dragged away by his brothers, one of which is race. One of them.
One of the Rodriguez kids.
That's Ridiculous Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure. That's his cameo.
Random Rodriguez.
Random Rodriguez. And candy bars galore come flying out of his pocket.
It's not explained in this episode.
Yeah,
Right.
too much.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw this in the beginning, I forgot that, like, it's out of order. I had no recollection of it being out of order. But when I saw that, I was like, ooh, did I miss something? Again, this whole episode, I was like, did I miss something? Yeah.
Again, I was still under the impression this would be an isolated story.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, he lost his
Just
mind.
the one
so
short. Yeah.
Yeah, Cole Black and the gang chase Toby up a tree, and they start pelting him with rocks. And Cole is like, give me a rock. I need a rock. And someone hands him a rainbow rock, and he throws it at Toby. He falls out of the tree, somehow lives. It's like the longest
basically
fall
kills
of all
Toby.
The funniest,
time.
just whoop,
Yeah,
just
it's
fall.
wild.
I remember when the scene happens, he throws the rock and it hits Toby like on the forehead.
Square in the head.
And he just goes black. Like
Yeah.
he passes out. I'm like, that kid just died. He literally just died.
Not only from the rock, but also from the fall. Like,
Yeah.
he must have collapsed
he's
and broken
so dead.
something.
He falls a lot, I guess, and actually, now that I think about it, survives a lot.
Oh, yeah, he's indestructible.
But he went like fully limp.
Right.
Like that rock
He
hit
dies.
him hard.
Yeah. But yeah, Toby finds the rock, picks it up, and is encouraged by a voice in his head, or maybe not in his head, I don't really know, to make a wish. And he wishes that he had friends, which is very sad.
Aw.
But and
As interesting as him.
yeah, as interesting and
Which-
unique as him. Yeah.
Honestly, aliens, kind of boring. Like,
Yeah,
the
a little
aliens,
bit.
the most
Yeah,
like
that's
typical
true.
aliens, maybe he's just not interesting.
Right.
Maybe that's the point.
Right. Oh, poor kid.
By the way, him asking, is that why you relate to this movie so much, Nick?
Yeah, a little bit.
No friends.
No. Hey, I was a popular kid back in the day. Not so much anymore, but
Back in the day.
It's gone down
it was a
after.
flip.
like-
Yeah, it was the opposite. Yeah, and then like Yankel said, little aliens and saucers come down, and back at home make him like several course gourmet dinner. They clean his room for him. They fix his teeth so he doesn't have to wear braces anymore. Also, it was a weird like shot from inside of his
it's
mouth.
It was
crazy.
gross.
Wild.
I hated it.
I did not like that
No.
at all. I'm doing a research paper on Stanley Kubrick for our UK class.
So am I.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I was
Okay,
up to
great.
Kubrick,
Okay,
yeah.
wonderful.
So funny.
Yeah, and one of the main arguments that I'm making is he uses like very like normal, like to the human eye shots.
Yeah.
So like he uses shots that like you would see as a normal human to like kind of bring you into the story.
interesting.
This is the complete opposite of
Yeah,
it.
this is-
You never
You
been
are
inside a mouth?
You've never been inside a mouth?
come on, man.
I have.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's another big one coming up. It's already been mentioned a little bit, but I won't spoil. But this is one of two that I'm like, this scene is gross.
The scene
Like, it
or
was
the
hard
shot?
to watch.
yeah,
This shot was gross.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a scene.
The boogers?
A whole
Yeah, we have a whole
okay,
sequence
okay.
coming.
Yeah,
that ruined me
That
as
is
a child.
like
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
But this was like nasty. I was
Also-
like, what is this?
Not necessarily them fixing the teeth. They just removed
No, they just
braces,
removed the
you know?
braces.
Like,
Yeah, his teeth are actually destroyed.
I don't think that's how that
Yeah.
works.
And Toby's parents were pitted against each other at work because they both work
By James Spader.
by James Spader, and are probably going to be fired, which stinks.
By James Spader.
Because they have to leave. Yeah, by
I just want
James
to
Spader.
keep referencing
Yeah,
James Spader
yeah.
in
He's
this
an evil
movie.
man, and we should all hate him.
And why is he in this?
Yeah. And his sister just broke up with her boyfriend, accidentally picks up the rock, and wishes that he could grow up.
Yeah.
And you can hear it on the phone.
God.
He's
He's, like,
going through like
screaming in
the
agony.
worst growing pains imaginable.
Also,
I can't even
like-
imagine how much agony and just miserable pain he's in.
Worth pointing out, the sister's played by Kat Dennings, another pretty big actor.
Yeah.
Again,
What
no
is
idea.
going on?
Rodriguez just has the power to bring people
does.
into
But
this.
how? Because like I guess with this one, Spy Kids.
Yeah.
But like Sharkboy and Lava Girl, I guess like they
Nah,
got
man,
their
it's
success
Racer.
off of that.
Yeah.
But
I
like
think Racer knows
George
him.
Lopez.
Yeah, he's the contact
George
guy.
Lopez, like one of his
like,
first movies.
Spy Kids 3 has like
everyone,
the craziest cast. Yeah.
Doesn't one of them have like Joe McHale in it?
Possibly. Isn't
is he in like 3 or 4?
No, Clooney's
Clooney's in the third one. Yeah, Clooney
shows at the end of the first one.
Sly Stallone.
Yeah,
a bunch of people in
That's
the third.
crazy.
Trejo.
It is Racer. Robert's like, can we get someone? No, I'll see who I can call. I got it, Dad.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. The next day at school, Toby brings his alien friends with him to help protect him against the bullies, and they do like kind of.
They don't at all.
Yeah,
they get distracted by
Weird.
chocolate.
They mess with his black box, which leads to him pulling it out of his bag, like hitting Helvetica in the face.
Yeah.
And then it just like causes complete and utter chaos in the room. And yeah, it was just wild because it was like she was like threatening to eat a fish.
She did.
Which what she did.
She ate a fish.
She like threatened it for like no reason at all. Like, why would he be upset about that? Is that like his
only
fish?
friend? He says he is.
Oh, does he say that earlier?
They had a
okay,
brief scene.
Well,
where
weird
was
if he
"My
like
fish."
keeps telling people that.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
You never, yes, I
must
do.
have missed that.
Yeah.
His name's Nemo, and he lives in the tank.
And yeah, it ends with them falling out a window and ending up in full body casts, which is wild. And we see several, whatever it is, days. Obviously, at the end of the movie, I found out that it was like over the course of a week. But initially, I was like, did this like they recovered that quickly?
Wait, what's
like
the
over like a
timeline
day?
here? Yeah.
Because it seems like obviously based on the context of the movie that it's the next day, but like that would have taken months to recover from.
Even if it was a week, they're in a full body cast. That's unacceptable.
It's insane. But they sit together, and he's trying to figure out if she likes it. But yeah, then we cut to the narrator who introduces episode 1, and he's like, "I got it all out of order, but we gotta go back." Episode 1 is titled "Lug, Loogie, and Laser in the Wishing Rock." He loves his alliteration. Alliteration.
That's his kids. He wants like perfectly explains his characters and his kids' name.
I'll point out when episode 1 hit, I was still under the assumption that these would be isolated stories. So it had the characters' faces, and I think out loud by myself, I went, "Oh no!" I'm like, "This is the story."
Right. So the 3 are stuck inside during a thunderstorm, and Loogie wants to go out on an adventure, and the other 2 don't. But the Wishing Rock, which is the rainbow rock that I was trying to figure out the whole time, falls from the sky and makes their area of the town not storm anymore, which is wild. Yeah. So they go out and to the end of the rainbow, or the beginning of the rainbow, and they find the rock.
It's a different movie.
Yeah, totally different. And Loogie wishes for unlimited candy bars. Now this is where the candy bars happen.
Now, do we know okay, I didn't look this up because Nick is the note guy. I didn't catch the name of the candy bar, but on the bar itself, it said like from the makers of Reese's.
Yeah, Reese's. Yeah.
So was this like a real Hershey candy bar?
Yeah.
Was this a sponsored thing?
I'm not sure.
Whatever it is not a candy bar that's around now.
100% though, it's got to be sponsored because then like there's a weird amount of sponsoring. Like at some point, I think they mentioned like Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
They do.
Specifically. Yeah.
And in
Oscar
the main
Mayer
kid's
wiener,
bedroom, he has a big poster that says EA Sports.
That's
all
not even
it
about a
says.
game.
No, it's just
EA Sports.
Right. Yeah, it is wild. But yeah, so then they wish for the instructions for the rock, and then a castle, and then a moat, and then the rock falls into the canyon they wish for, and they go down to get it, only to encounter the snakes and alligators they wish for to protect the wishing rock. One of the gators eats the rock, and Loogie like jumps directly into its stomach, like into its mouth and into its stomach, and then wishes.
You haven't done that?
Come on.
Only once.
I've been in so many nights.
Dude, the Connecticut gators.
Oh my god, please, they're terrifying.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, but he jumps in, he grabs the rock, wishes to get out, and then the gators make a wish to be on 2 legs.
2 legs.
And they chase him up to a castle. Chase him to the castle, directly up the castle, because they can just walk up.
It's part of the wish, I guess. They really thought about it ahead.
Yeah.
But I was so disappointed because the kid set up like, oh my god, the crocodile just like made a wish. And I could have sworn the crocodile was gonna come on screen and they'd be like, "What's up, dude?" Like, they start speaking English. I was so ready, and they stand up, and I'm like, "Oh, that's it."
Yeah. Who do you think they would have gone to voice the crocodile in that situation?
James Spader, Danny Trejo,
yeah.
Joe McHale, Steve Buscemi,
all of them. Every single one had a different name.
They just sent like an audio recorder on their phone.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, Sam Jackson,
trashy MP3 files.
Tarantino, like all Pulp Fiction.
Robert Rodriguez, Racer Rodriguez,
Ridiculous Rodriguez, Brandon Rodriguez.
But yeah, they chase to the castle, and Loogie wishes to start over. And then he wishes that one of them is super smart, and their baby sister now can communicate via thought. Also, weirdly, Loogie has telekinesis that never comes up again in the movie.
Yeah.
And also not how telekinesis works at all.
Not really.
He just starts pushing everything. Sure.
Because like my memory of that scene, he says, "I want telekinesis," which I was gonna say in real life, like this is a real thing that people have. But isn't it the whole point you can move things with your mind?
Yeah.
But in the scene, like it's just like a strong gust of wind hits.
Because also it pushes him also.
Yeah, it also pushes him. Well, that's not how that works at all.
No.
Yeah. It's insane.
As someone who has it,
right?
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah. It's
inaccurate.
bad representation of telekinesis.
Yeah, I'm upset.
Yeah, and then they bring it out. They bring the rock out, and they catapult the rock away, and we cut to episode 4. Noseworthy in the big bad booger.
Yeah,
now
not episode 3.
Episode 4.
Yeah, once again.
I'm so sorry.
Which actually, before leaving, do you guys know what the because they make a big thing about most other people's last name and they speak about them in full names. Do you guys know what the 3 kids' last name is?
Rodriguez. What do you mean?
Loogie, Lou, whatever. Rodriguez.
No, I know what you mean. I don't know.
They're short.
Oh yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, the shorts.
They never pointed it out or anything.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
They're
that's why
shorts?
it's the
Maybe
title.
they're the main characters.
Yeah.
Well, it technically does start with them.
Made it so much more confusing.
So-
Yeah, very confusing. But yeah, so basically, to make a long story short, Nose's dad was the lead scientist for black ink until he started research on germs, then locked down his whole household. And Nose, which is the kid, goes into his dad's lab at home and tells him that his tutor, which is Toby's sister, arrived. And he accidentally flicks a booger, or I guess on purpose, into one of his dad's machines. And he gets the rock from Toby's sister.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. And wishes that his dad's inventions work properly, and then creates a booger monster. Now, go ahead, because I know you have thoughts.
Remember when I said that whole sequence that was really gross?
Yeah.
And very off-putting?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
It's literally a giant, 12-foot, green, slimy, bad CGI boogie monster.
Yeah.
And it's like genuinely gross.
It's
Like,
disgusting.
There's no other way to describe it. Like
Yeah.
I was eating my breakfast and I was like, no.
Nope.
I just
No.
stopped eating. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't do this.
There's actually, now that you're thinking about it, like there's a weird amount of gross because it's also
Yeah.
like the
Oh, it's
first
so
chapter,
nasty.
like he gets like pooped on by like a pterodactyl. Or
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
It's like diarrhea. Like,
Yeah.
he's covered.
Disgusting.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's. Oh, it's Racer, man.
Yeah. We gotta add more weird stuff.
What if I take my booger and you make it big?
It's like okay, racer.
Yeah, the boogie monster. The boogie monster chases them essentially outside the house, and Nose stalls by threatening to eat one of his friends if he eats Toby, because he there's this whole threat of the boogie monster trying to eat him.
And that's another one. Like the kid, you see him, he fully is just digging for gold up there.
It shows
it's
the booger. It's like a
gross.
close up on the booger.
Dude, I almost dry heaved a little. Like
It's
this,
wild.
I don't know why they went this far with it.
Yeah. But yeah, so they make it outside, and this is the first time Nose has been out in months or years. I can't remember exactly.
COVID.
Basically. And Mr. Noseworthy comes out and shrinks the booger monster with one of his inventions, and him and his son realize that they won't die if they're outside. And Toby takes the rock and rushes off, then comes back on through voiceover and sets up episode 3, the grown-ups in the miscommunication.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this is my favorite episode.
100% the best
Yeah,
one.
this is the best one.
Yeah,
I
for
also we'll get further into why, but when this ended, I thought it was the final act of the movie. Because it kind of has a final
Well, it has a
feeling to
build
it.
up to it in the middle of it.
Yeah, it kind of has this
turn,
ending feel to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you get to the actual last episode, it's almost like this movie ends twice.
Yeah,
and one of them
that's
is
what
way better than the other.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So this episode is definitely the strongest.
Definitely. But yeah, Toby's parents are horrible at communicating. This is the whole plot of this entire short. Well, segment. And the mom wants to be more in the moment, but proves herself wrong when they both have to constantly be on their black boxes. His mom comes into his room. This is Toby's room. And tries to figure out who his girlfriend is. They're trying to figure it out. And when he wakes up and catches her, she plays it off and picks up the wishing rock instead, putting it in her purse and tries to, play it cool. And then his parents make their way to Mr. Black's costume party, and the mom wishes that they would be closer, and they literally merge bodies. Now, I remember this, but it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's still it's kind of freaky.
I don't know. How did they do it? Because it does look kind of CG, but also
it looks good.
Practical.
Weirdly good, but
weirdly practical.
Yeah, I feel like they must have done something on set.
Yeah,
they probably
I'm sure.
they're
enhanced
close,
it
but
with
then
CG
they push
maybe,
it. I think
but
because they only have 2 legs also
Right.
combined.
Yeah.
They do. I will be honest. A lot, again, especially with Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy Kids. I think one of our biggest complaints
That
was
CGI was god.
it looks like eye bleach. Kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
horrible.
And in this one, it's all very much the same eye bleach.
Yeah.
Besides this one little thing. This is the only thing that gets credit.
Yeah.
The two of them do look pretty good, like merged together.
Right. Yes. So Toby and Loogie go to the party because they realize the wishing rock is gone and they want to get it back. And Helvetica gets it and wishes her brother was a dung beetle. And now she realizes like kind of the full potential of this rock.
Yeah.
Mr. Black accidentally picks up the rock and wishes that everyone was cutthroat like Toby's parents, and they all start fighting. So
They
then,
start beating each other
then
up.
he's like a little confused, and then he realizes what the rock can do after Helvetica gets mad at him for not listening and wishes that he would listen to her for once, and his ears become huge, and then kind of everyone realizes the power of this rock. And she wishes for a motorcycle and drives off with her own theme song.
Banger.
It is.
It's been stuck in my head.
Genuinely.
And since I was a kid, it terrified me and excited me like beyond belief. Like I was so
Helvetica herself.
I was gonna say, I think because I had a crush on her, I was just like this. Oh, it was amazing.
It
was
is.
the
I will
best.
say, without giving away my overall thoughts on the movie, this is a banger.
Yeah.
Even in this, I'm like, wait, this movie's taking a turn. I'm
It
like,
was
I'm really
splendid.
digging this.
Yeah. And then Toby steals the rock back after chasing it down and wishes everyone was back to normal. Then throws the rock away to Nose's house, which is why his sister finds it in episode 4. Now, we cut to episode 5. Everyone in the
end.
This is the end.
Which I was really
The
disappointed
weird
because I thought
real
the movie
ending.
just ended.
Yeah. And now we pick up where Toby and Loogie left off at the end of 4 after the booger monster thing where they run off with the rock and leave Nose. And every one of the kids is in this chapter.
Yeah.
And they all fight over the rock and wish for different things. And finally, Mr. Black gets the rock and wishes that he is the most powerful being ever. And he basically morphs into his black box to become a giant black box alien monster.
He's like a transformer.
Very strange. And then to combat this, I don't know why though. Why is he like it makes no sense.
That's the most powerful thing in the universe. It's
Yeah.
just
His
a big
phone.
A big version of his own device that only lasts 20 minutes?
Yeah, weirdly.
I also want to point out probably the worst CGI moment in the entire movie is this little figurine when he gets on top of a pile of money.
The pile of money.
It's
insane.
freaky
took
little
me
movie
full
hands.
out, fully out of it. It reminded me of Pennywise almost. Just like his movement.
Can we just point out, because again, this is only on the radio, this is the best guest ever. He just pulled out like a screen recording of the movie.
Just had it on lock.
You had it ready.
It was too weird not to just bring it specifically.
You had that like ready to go. That was
You did. That was insane.
But yeah. So, and then every one of the kids is like, we're going to fight this guy for whatever reason, because he has no motive to be fighting anyone.
None. He's just like
throwing
fisticuffs for no reason.
Yeah. And so they kind of bring back things from the movie. So like the alligator army comes back. They wish, Cole wishes to be a giant dung beetle again, weirdly. The alien friends come back.
Helvetica becomes a bee?
Becomes a bee, a giant bee.
Sure.
And chaos ensues as they battle Mr. Black. And then the baby that has telekinesis, whatever it is.
Who's God.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Literally stops everything in its tracks. And tells everyone that they have to destroy the rock, which comes in the form of Mr. Noseworthy giving everyone germs, and somehow they like hold hands and then like
the power of friendship.
I'm not sure how the germs played a part whatsoever. But
I literally just finished like an hour ago. I was like, I have no idea how this even logistically
Also,
works.
it's just like snot. It's just like Nickelodeon, you know.
It's just like green, gross slime.
Yeah. And everyone's like, ooh, and then they're like, let's hold hands, and then there's like a big rainstorm, and then it's all over, and then they like launch the rock. And they're like, we're going to leave it for someone else to find. And hopefully, it's like a moral of the story.
For some reason.
No, everyone like wishes for,
It's like the Jumanji ending where you're like, just destroy it.
Exactly. And then our narrator, Toby, gives us a brief, like, where is everyone now kind of thing. Where like his dad and Mr. Black like team up to make like a green version of the
black box.
Of the black box. And then, like, everyone's kind of just in a better place. He goes off and, like, has a little romantic thing with Helvetica. And
they're gonna get married, I guess.
Yeah, of course. What happens to Kat Dennings?
I don't know.
She gets back
she's
with the
her
boyfriend, right?
With her
She
boyfriend.
does.
That little kid that had a crush on her didn't end up with her?
No.
No.
Poor Loogie.
Weird thing also in
crushing
kids'
on-
movies. Just the like little kid that just is in love with
Okay,
the
I
big
will
sister.
say,
wild.
weird thing in a movie, I'm on Loogie's side. Dude. I have a big crush on
Kat
Kat
Dennings
Dennings,
for
too.
sure, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I get that.
Nick, if your sister was Kat Dennings, we'd be way closer, I'll tell you that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's it. All's well in the world, and that is Shorts. I know it was a lot of plot, but going into final thoughts, Yankel, do you want to start? Because you're a very, very special guest.
I just want to point out at the very end, the message of the entire movie that
Yeah.
we're left off
Yes.
with the narrator is like, be careful what you wish for. And
Right.
you
It's
naturally
sweet.
just go with it.
Yeah.
But then I really thought about it. That's not a theme. Like, this only applies to a situation where you will ever get into a situation where your wishes can become true.
Right.
Like,
Alone Again.
Yeah, exactly.
We
this
just watched
never
a bad
happens.
version of Alone
Yeah.
Again.
No one ever is in danger of their own wishes.
Sure,
This isn't a problem we should be talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know why so many movies do this.
I know they make it a point to make one of the themes like if you find a wishing rock,
Yeah, don't do anything
that's
bad
like
with
the
it.
most practical version of
Yeah.
that. Like it's very strange.
But
so what did you think overall? Does it hold up to you?
No, absolutely not.
No, not at all. Okay.
Okay. On second watch, I
Yeah.
found myself liking
Right.
it a lot
Second
more.
watch in
Weird.
present day. Yeah.
Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I think it has a lot of setups for a better movie.
That's I
Yeah, because
agree.
it's an interesting-ish kind of idea of just like a wishing stone and what happens to a community, if it's kind of destroying them. But it never does anything with it. The acting, I will say, is weirdly good.
Yeah.
I think Helvetica does a great job.
I think a lot of the because there's so many characters
Yeah.
in it. I think a lot of
True.
the individual characters do a really
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
Playing their specific roles because they're very small and they have very specific like character tropes, but
Yeah.
they do a good job. Interesting. Okay, Pelton, what did you think?
Okay, so I'll piggyback off a couple things, Yankel, you said. Is one, I think you're right about the theme kind of not really like landing.
Yeah.
You know
What
what I
is
mean?
the point of this?
And also, like, especially with like a lot of wishing movies, like the new the Wonder Woman sequel like comes to mind.
Sure.
But you have like it's
Oh my
almost
God,
like
I forgot about
yeah, it's like a monkey paw thing where you make a wish, but then there's like a but to it. Where in this movie there isn't.
Yeah.
You just make a wish and then it just happens. So it's
Yeah.
almost like, well,
There's
why
no rules.
Why wouldn't you keep that rock? Like,
Right.
there should be some sort of like punishment or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's also like there's no limit.
There's no
They
limit.
just do unlimited.
It's
So
insane. There's no consequences whatsoever to
it's not
making
like
a wish.
Aladdin.
Yeah, so it didn't
Yeah.
quite like the theme didn't quite fit because
For
of
sure.
that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And also, you're right. The acting is pretty good, surprisingly. I think again, you have like Kat Dennings, James Spader, which help. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've seen some rough childhood actors in this,
Sure.
and kind of like G-Force. I gotta be honest, I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I really didn't mind it.
Listen, for me, I really like the concept of the little short vignettes, but because it's all connected in this little town, it's weirdly like campy. It's nice. But to me it didn't really stick the landing, but similar to you, I like
Yeah.
weirdly have a strange attachment to shorts.
I didn't hate it.
And I
Just
don't know if
harmless,
it's
you know?
because I don't know if it's because no one knows about the movie, and like I
Sure.
feel
Honestly,
like
could be.
I've only experienced
Yeah.
this, and now you guys have, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is great. But yeah, I honestly the individual elements I really enjoyed, but as a whole, I'm like, it's a little weird. But
and also, as Yankee, I think you're very right with. There's a much better movie in here somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like it's just if you kind of just did something. I think Spy Kids and those like slightly better versions do something with a larger story.
Definitely.
Yeah,
there's
it's almost feels like a
enjoyable
first draft.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
100%.
there's a very cool idea of, you're right, like how it affects such a small community like this, but it just didn't quite do anything that cool with it.
It's like so close.
Yeah,
but I love it. Like it's.
Do you think
love's a
kids
strong
actually
word.
would like this? Like, if we're considering
Probably.
it from that
I think
perspective,
so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Potentially. Like, listen, there's a lot of movies while watching it, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
This was not one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was okay.
And one final thought on Shorts: The Adventures of the Wishing Rock. I don't even know what it's
Sure.
called anymore.
Yeah.
Ready? I
can't believe this got greenlit.
Nice. Okay. Yankel, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been an
Dude,
incredible,
one of the best guests. Came
incredible
so prepared.
episode.
So much fun.
I was so looking forward to this, and this turned out to be a wonderful episode. This has been great. I look forward to your show on Friday. Everyone
very
tune
excited.
into
Please
that
tune
at
in.
8 a.m.
8 a.m., yeah.
Very excited. I know it's early, but it'll be fun.
It'll be.
Tune in next week for a very special episode. It's our Halloween episode. We're doing
Yes.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I'm very excited about that. Stay tuned.
I'm
on the
very
Instagram.
scared.
I'm terrified. And yeah, thank you all for listening. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.